He was abandoned on the streets by his birth parents when he was still a baby and adopted at the age of 5. But his adoptive father would ask, why has this cursed child been brought into my life? One day, this child, now a teenager, was beaten so badly that he had to pretend to be dead to survive. Hi everyone, and welcome to the UK's only TV show dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, and I'm your host, Chrissy B. My real-life story guest, Sergiu-Cosmin Cramba, will be telling us all about his past, including turning to crime and serving 8 years in prison. But one day, he found help from a charity that he originally stole from. Also on the show today, we have Dr Audrey Tang talking about what parental rejection can do to a person, steps they can take to recover, and also about the power of others believing you can have, but also the impact of believing in yourself. We then speak to abuse prevention expert Marilyn Hawes all about peer-on-peer abuse and how it can be tackled. And we also have on careers expert coach Chris Brown revealing how to deal with loss when it comes to your career, and our workout of the week with Natalia Katoska. Then it's nutrition time as we go to Hannah Rich's kitchen for a secret ingredient Goldilocks porridge, and nutritionist Laura Southern answers your questions. So let's get straight to my first guest, Sergio-Cosmin Cramba. Welcome to the show, Sergio.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming on to actually talk about something that's so deep and a very difficult past that you had. So can you tell us, first of all, about your upbringing? So you were actually, first of all, abandoned, weren't you, as a baby? Can you tell us about that?
I was abandoned as a baby, and I was adopted by the age of 5. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, I had the feelings as a child that they're not my family. And even when I will go at school, children, they will bully me and they will call me orphan. Every time when my mom, she used to send me, shops, buy bread and stuff for home and for the kitchen. On the way home, always the neighbors from, inside the block, they were calling me orphan. You don't have family, and these things really put me to think a lot, because I didn't even knew what means orphan.
Okay.
Because I was very young,
And you found out you were adopted at age 7, was it?
Because I was a bit naughty at school, my mom, she was like, okay, we need to speak to him, because she heard a lot from, because I always used to come home and I used to ask my mom, what means orphan?
Okay.
They call me orphan, they call me orphan. Why? Mm-hmm. And I remember one day I came from school and she told me to sit down, have my dinner, and she told me, look, you're not my son. Wow. I love you as my son, but you're not my son. And that actually was that, that day, I didn't even know what to say. And I was very young, but I was like, in that moment, everything will come in, a lot of sadness, a lot of disappointments.
But they weren't, your mum wasn't mistreating you at this point, was she? Was quite a
She was very, how can I say, she will get angry very quick, very quick in everything that I'll do. Like if I will do something wrong, she will slap me in front of everyone. Even when she will come at school and she will hear like bad news, your son is not good, your son speaks, your son shouts, your son this and that. She will beat me in front of everyone.
Wow.
That's how my mom.
What about with your adoptive father?
And my adoptive father always used to say, why should I look after someone's child? After when they told me that I'm not their son. And my dad always used to say, why should I look after someone's child? The day you brought this cursed child in our house, everything is going wrong. And I actually, I started to have a lot of nightmares. A lot of nightmares. I didn't even know what's going on with me. I was like, what's going on with me? And I remember that started at the age of 10. I started to have a lot of nightmares. I was afraid. I even had a lot of insecurities about myself. I remember it was when I used to go to school. I used to go to school and see everyone, you know, dressing nice, food, you know, sandwich, crepes, money. I never had that.
And this was because things had escalated quite a lot in your house, and your parents were fighting constantly, and they were alcoholics, so there was no money basically in the house apart. It was all being spent on alcohol. Now, there was a moment in that things got so bad that well, it was, I would say, your worst moment. Can you tell us about that?
The worst moment was when my dad always used to come home and beat me. I remember he used to beat me with pieces of metals, woods. I'm sorry that I have to say this, but blood will came out from my head, you know, so I have to pretend I'm dead. I have to stay for like 2-3 minutes like this. And even,
just for him to stop?
Yeah, I have to hold my, you know, my breath as well, so for my dad to say, or my mom to come and get involved. Leave him alone, leave him alone. I remember when my mom, she used to shout, leave him alone, you're gonna kill him. Yeah, and from that day, I just decided not to come home anymore. I started to get involved in crimes. I will have problems with police. You know, police always used to knock to my mom's door. It's not my son. It's not my son. Take him. It's not my son. And at the age, I started to live on the streets. You know, living like, because I have to survive. I have to steal clothes. I have to rob people. From stealing, I started to rob women's and doing a lot of crimes. And then after, I ended up being in prison. And I started to be depressed. I started to self-harm. I started to smoke a lot.
Why were you self-harming?
Because I don't know, I just found I'll relax myself. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but it's like because I never had attention at home, not even out. Even though I wanted to, you know, look attention from outside, people, they will just didn't even care. If I would be alone, you know, I just self-harm because I saw someone in prison doing that, and I was like, why are you doing this? It helps you. I was like, okay, so let me do it then as well, you know. So when I started to cry, I started to self-harm, and actually it would help me. Okay, so that's better.
But then afterwards,
I will feel like, you know, why have I done this? I've got blood. Wow, this not, because I don't like to see blood. To be honest, I don't like to see blood. And then after I started to be addicted to self-harm, in everything I started to self-harm.
So even though you knew it was a very unhealthy way to let out your emotions, but it's like you couldn't find another outlet at the time for you to...
Because even though when I wanted to express myself to people, to tell them who I am and why I'm like this, they even don't care, they don't understand, they don't even want to listen to me. So I would just hide myself in the corner or just... I remember even when I used to have relationship with girls, I started to self-harm in front of them.
Wow.
It was very crazy.
Terrible.
Very crazy, yeah.
Now, Sergio, you mentioned that no one cared, no one believed in you, anything like that, but there was a time when actually you did meet someone that just asked you how you were, that asked about you. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I remember that day. I was homeless when I came here. My mind was to go to steal, which I did. First time, second time, and the third time, someone just came out. Hi, can I help you?
Yeah.
And, you know, I resisted a bit, but I said, you know, yes, I'm going for this. I was afraid to open up because always when I would go to a person and open up, they would judge me.
So you originally went there, you did steal from the place.
I did, yeah.
You went with that intention, but then it kind of, one day you actually decided, let me just talk to someone about this, because you must have reached a point where you're like, something has to change.
Yeah, because I planned it so many times how to kill myself. I didn't have the strength, but I wanted. Yeah. I wanted to kill myself so many times, but I couldn't. Even I would get a lot of tablets. I wouldn't die. I don't know why. I wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, and...
so what was this place that you went to?
It was a place of worship. Yeah, it was very nice because actually the person that listened to me, he told me that, okay, you can overcome this. I'm being through certain things that you told me, so you can overcome this. You know, I don't know you, but I believe in you. When he said that and I look in the eyes of that person, I was like, you know, he's telling the truth. I can see the eyes is different, you know, it's not lying, he cares about me. And slowly after that, I started to come and I overcome depression. I overcome addictions of drugs. I was so addicted to drugs, alcohol. I couldn't stay without weed, if I can say, alcohol. I will go sleep with weed. I'll wake up and just smoke my, Yeah, so I was like this. Depression, like, I didn't self-harm from that time. I was like, wow, I'm not doing this anymore. Wow, it's actually okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you still have the physical scars that we
I
can
have
see from the
some.
self-harm, but now, when you look at those scars now, what is it that you feel when you look at those scars now?
When I look at these scars, I'm asking myself why I did this. And today is, obviously, this one is helping me a lot, because when I'm talking to people that are going through the same story, that's helping me a lot. But I wish I can go back in the past and not to do this.
But it's part of your story, isn't it?
It's part of my story.
Sergio? Like you said, like, there are many people that use self-harm as an outlet. And the fact that you've come so far and you've really changed, your life has completely changed. That is like, well, this is my past, it's not me anymore.
Yeah.
So you can use that to help other people. But how is life for you today, Sergio?
Today, I'm happy, no more depressed, no more addicted. I know who I am, I know what I want. And if a person comes to me right now and is telling me something, I don't care, to be honest. Because before, I used to be so soft and emotional because of what happened in the past. Yeah. But today, if someone comes to me and says something, I don't
something
even care.
Negative, you mean?
Yeah,
like
something negative, to put me down, I don't even care because I know who I am, so.
This is very important what you're saying, because, there are people, unfortunately, that depend on the approval of others to be happy, but you found that confidence, that self-belief within you, so that, you're different now, you're completely different from the inside out, right? And what about sort of career and stuff like that? Have you got any plans? What are you doing now with your life?
Yes, I'm working at the moment. I'm planning to open my studio music. I'm slowly buying the, because I'm talented in music.
Okay,
I'm a creative person. And, because when I was younger, I used to tell my parents, look, I can play drums. I actually can play a bit of keyboard, I like music. Can you please help me, support me with this? No, you don't need this. You need to go to school, you need to do this and that and that. So they just killed my dreams.
Wow.
Yeah.
But now it's good that you've reignited them and that you're going for it.
And I actually found even more about myself, like what I can do, so it's okay.
Sergio, if someone's watching now that maybe a similar story to yours, rejected growing up, didn't have that love, that care from their parents, and maybe they, similar things have happened to them and they're thinking life isn't worth living, what would you say to them?
Life is worth living. I mean, you can't do something with your life no matter what you're going through. If you go through depression, if you have everyone that's telling you that you're not one, or you're not strong enough or soft or emotional, or it's not true. It's actually not true, because you're always looking in life. You're always looking to be lifted up. So if someone comes to you and put you down, that's not good. You actually have to move from there and go somewhere else, because in life it's like this. You have to look for something that is lifting you up. Yeah.
And you found a place that lifted you up?
I found a place that really lifts me up, and it's amazing. Yeah. I can't miss it. Every day I'm coming to this place, I can't miss it.
Yeah. And obviously, how does it feel now to actually be able to help other people as well?
I'm so happy when I speak with someone. Like, for example, it was a couple of days ago, I was talking to a person, but I didn't even know that it's self-harm. So I just, I was a crazy guy, show my arm, look, I used to self-harm and being this and that, and then after the person, oh wow, I'm doing that. I said, so okay, so you can overcome. You don't need to do this. Come to this place, it's gonna help you. And I was not shocked, but I was so happy that, sometimes, like you said, part of your story can help others.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
Wonderful
experience.
Sergio, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Really inspirational. And all the best with your business.
Thanks so much.
We'll have you back one day to tell us when it's sort of really grown and expanding your business.
Why not? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, everybody, so after the break, we have on Dr. Audrey Tang, who'll be talking about what parental rejection can actually do to a person and how they can recover, and also about the power of others believing in you, but also believing in yourself.
The dance helps you express yourself and your feelings, and that you can tell someone about how you feel, except from being scared.
Absolutely brilliant. Dancing just makes everybody joyful, and that's one of the things that we encourage a lot of in this school, is lots of dancing and singing, and they've just had a brilliant time, and that's the best way to get a good message across.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time to welcome back on Dr. Audrey Tang. Welcome back to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So what did you think of Sergiu's story, first of all, your comments?
It's so sad at the beginning, but it's wonderful that he managed to come through, because there are so many points where I think it could have been the last thing that he would have known, and that's really awful. But yet he managed to find that inner strength. The things that I'd like to pull out actually are the fact that he thought his mother was his support first of all, and then she turned and she was only trying to survive, and that's what happens. But as a child, you can't make sense of that sort of behaviour, and that's just really very traumatic. But then with that comes the extra trauma of having to pretend to play dead, and those things I don't think we realise, even if we've processed it, even if we can now talk about it, how traumatic that actually is, especially for a young child. And that's something where I have a lot of clients where I think it's important to work through some of those things. Even though they can talk about it, it doesn't mean you've actually worked through exactly how that was. Self-harm, cutting himself, to see the pain sometimes is a way of expressing, because you can't always express exactly what it is you're feeling. So sometimes seeing the physical pain makes a difference, and that's a horrible place to get to, but that's something which can be seen as a release for some people. Spending time in prison, completely different as well, because that's a whole different lifestyle. And then where I think it was so powerful as he turned everything around was when somebody said to him, not "what are you doing," but "are you okay?" And that is amazing. And sometimes that's all it is. It's a different dialogue that someone interacts with you with that makes all the difference. Instead of accusation, instead of criticism, instead of physical and mental beating, someone's just asked, "Are you all right?" And that can be one of the most cathartic moments for people. And you see that. You see
someone actually cares.
Yes, exactly. You see that with people who maybe go to a yoga class or something for the first time, where they've thought about themselves, and that makes them cry. It makes them express all of that emotion, because for that one moment, they've suddenly gone, I've remembered who I am. And I'm not necessarily that person that I believed I was. And that's where his experience is so powerful. And it's a painful story to watch, but so uplifting.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, wonderful. Audrey, what about parental rejection? What does that do to a person?
It's a horrible thing, because your parents are the people that you're supposed to trust most in the world. They're your first example of caring. And what can happen if you don't actually have that upbringing is that you begin to associate with others in a very similar way, because you've never learned to express love maybe appropriately or in a healthy manner. And what can happen is sometimes if people maybe are very starved of affection, they will give affection to everybody because they're just hoping to make that connection. But of course that can scare people. Or alternatively, you can be so held back that you don't trust anybody, and that can cause problems in relationships as well. So the difficulty when parents reject us is that we try and make sense of it. We might come up with strategies to help us find love. It might be that if our parents said to us, "Oh, well done, you got 90% on a test," suddenly all we do is we achieve and we achieve and we achieve more, because that's what gets us love. Or if we realise that a parent likes to be flattered, we start flattering them and saying compliments that we don't necessarily mean, but then we might start doing that for other people, thinking that's what's going to make them like us. And the more we behave in those strategic ways, the less authentic we feel, and we begin to realise that, and that in itself can be very negative, and that can eat away at us too.
What can you do then if you have faced parental rejection and it's affecting you?
The very positive thing is our minds, our brains are complex. They're very plastic in the sense that it doesn't have to be set in that particular way. And you can have something called a corrective experience. Somebody who gives you unconditional love, somebody who you trust, might be a therapist, might be a counsellor, might be a friend, might be somebody who listens, somebody who asks you, are you okay? If you can see that relationship as a healthy relationship, you can begin to trust again. The difficulty there is when you're on that journey of searching, it's very easy to not fall prey, but to believe that certain relationships that come across your path at that time might be the next one that will help you, and that's not always the case, because people have their own agendas, so we do have to be mindful of that. Self-belief is really important, and one of the most important things for anybody is to not give over the validation of what you do and who you are to somebody else. It's really important that our opinion of ourselves is what counts. Wonderful. And that's the thing to think about.
Thank you so much, Audrey. And we shall see you again very soon.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, so now it's time to speak to our abuse prevention expert, Marilyn Hawes, all about peer-on-peer abuse and how it can be tackled. Welcome to the show, Marilyn.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So you're going to be speaking about peer-on-peer abuse today, but can you tell us what actually constitutes peer-on-peer abuse first?
Obviously people think of sexual abuse, but it's also physical, coercive control, bullying, financial. So people, especially if you're on the spectrum, you don't think of relationships quite in the same way if you're not on the spectrum with Asperger's or autism. Those sort of children can be targeted to get money out of them because they don't understand how a decent relationship should work. Right. And they get sort of approached in that way sometimes. So there's several facets to it, but people do think it's principally sexual abuse, but there's other facets involved as well.
So what are the most common ones?
I think the most common ones is sexual abuse, to be honest. I mean, 30%, we now know 30% of child sexual abuse is peer-on-peer. So either someone's your brother or sister, your cousin, the kids next door. It's very high. And in fact, there's some research with the Truth Project that's come out that even people now that are talking about their abuse as a child, when they were now 60 years old, it's come out even then, 21%, 25% was peer-on-peer abuse. So my fear is we're not actually moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, in the
what do you think schools can do then to kind of check these kind of things out?
Well, I think they need to be much more on what do I call overly sexualised behaviours and a better understanding. So I do train in schools on this. What is overly sexualised behaviour? You know, so the formal wording for it would be that it's obsessive, it's aggressive, there's no joy in it, it's coercive control. There would be other facets involved, so there's likely to be more fracturing within the family or the background of that child. There'll be other things going on, other behaviours flagging up as well. That needs to be mentored and it needs to be monitored. And my fear is that with the criminal age of responsibility in England is 10, right, 10 years old, there's a lot of inappropriate behaviours that go on sexually under 10, which is not being reported by the police, because God forbid we should criminalise children. You know, sometimes you have to, because sometimes you need to see the chain that continues. So I'll give you a classic example. I'm dealing with at the moment a 6-year-old little boy down in Cornwall, and the 6-year-old little boy who goes to school with him, well, not now, it's the summer holidays, but actually lives over the road from him, is putting his digit into this lad's backside, right? Now, that is not child's play. The family have been told by social services it's child's play. No, it isn't. That is adverse behaviours. And the police agree that it's not child's play. That's the sort of thing I mean. That is actually digital rape. You know, I train teachers who don't know what that is. It's not difficult to work out. Digital rape, you're putting a digit inside, you know, that is not child's play. Where's it come from? Where's it going to? Why is the child performing like that? Now you've got that sort of situation, which is really out there and definitely does need to be monitored and mentored, because is it going to stop? Are we going to mentor that child to say that's not really appropriate, but it continues and it grows and it gets worse? Then what are we looking at when that child may be 10?
What are the challenges, though, in identifying this kind of peer-on-peer abuse? Sometimes
well,
it's
the
not
challenges
so
are
obvious.
it's principally girls that are being accosted, if you like, and only 1 in 8 are talking about it. No, they're frightened of saying, because the boys, they're fearful that the boys, because they are dominant and very controlling, and they're fearful that the boy is going to say, oh, I had great sex with her last night, when actually you didn't, or tell lies about the child in the school, so they stay silent. And it's really wrong. And I don't think the children or the schools realise either that what constitutes sexual assault in the eyes of the police, you know, is it banter? Is it sexualising language? Are you rubbing up against someone because you think it's a tad of a joke? Or is it more sinister than that? If you keep touching someone on their private parts with a book or an object and the person doesn't like it, and if that person complained to the police would take that as sexual assault.
Right, okay.
And I don't think the schools get it. And you've got this thing about, oh, we mustn't criminalise children. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you can't, it's like the things with knives at the moment, you know. Sometimes it's necessary to deal with the situation, if that makes sense. But you absolutely have to be having the conversations. And also, the grooming isn't evident, you see. It's a different technique. If I wanted to groom a child as an adult, it would be the, shh, don't tell, here's the presents, here's the gifts, here's the nice little arrangements, here's the treats. That, when I spoke to a lot of people last year who had been abused by their peers, said it wasn't like that. It is, if you don't do this, I'm going to tell. If you don't let me touch you here, I'm going to tell Mum you did this. If you don't let me do this, I'm going to tell the teacher you broke the computer. Now that is ultimately intimidating. That's aggressive. So that's that overly sexualized behavior. It's aggressive. There's no joy in it. It's coercive control. Where the other way, you know, you do get that precursor with grooming of a sort of weird kind of not appropriate romance, if you like. But that grooming is quite nice, and that's the unfortunate bit, that, you know, the children then feel complicit. But the peer-on-peer abuse, there isn't the grooming, it's that threat. And I think it is intimidating.
Definitely.
I'm going to tell. Yeah, it's not nice.
One last question, Marilyn. If a parent does realise maybe this is going on, or, you know, a loved one, what's the first thing they should do?
Talk to the child. Talk to the child. Don't, for goodness sake, go down the this is dirty, this is rude. Don't do that. Just discuss what appropriate behaviour is, what in society is, what is, you know. And there's lots of organisations like ourselves that can help advise, and with, you know, with handouts and the sort of conversations you might have. But please don't ignore it as just something that, because I don't know what it is about grown-up human beings. They don't seem to want to engage in a conversation about sex. We all do it. Most of us have had it, like cleaning your teeth. Get on and speak about it. You know, get it out there, for goodness sake. Let's have the debate. So we have less of these things going on. But 30% of children abusing children is shocking.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Marilyn, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you'll be on again very soon to talk about another very important subject.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Okay, everybody, so after the break, we have on careers expert coach Chris Brown giving his advice on how to deal with rejection when applying for jobs and going to interviews. And we also have our workout of the week with Natalia Katowska. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on MyTV Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show, and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time to hear from our careers expert, Coach Chris Brown, about how to deal with loss when it comes to your career.
Today I want to speak to you about handling job loss. Now, handling job loss is not as easy for some as it might be for others. You just might have gone through it at this very moment, and you might be in turmoil. You might be thinking, well, I lost my job because of this, or I lost my job because of that. But have a look at these points I'm going to show you, which will help you to get through this period and this time. Point 1, acknowledging your emotional state. Why do I say that? You have to acknowledge how you actually feel at this time, because you've come through a period where you've been going to this job from 9 to 5, and that's quite a chunk of your life. And when that goes, all of a sudden, we're a bit lost. It feels as if you're mourning someone, as if you lost someone, you lost something. And yes, why? Because you lost a part of you. But that's not the end. This is actually the beginning. There are many individuals who have become very successful entrepreneurs, doing great things, running their business, starting a new company, directs the company, people who actually lost their jobs. Because life has a way of, if you don't make a decision, it makes a decision for you. So let's turn this inside out. This loss of job could be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. It's about how you handle it. So here we go. First of all, we might have felt pretty sad. Then we might feel very nonchalant about it. But when we realize what we can do and the capability within our hands, you're going to start to feel really good about this. So if you just lost your job, here's what I want you to do. Have a look at this one. Get your finances in order. That is one of the first things that you should be doing. What do I mean by that? The worst thing that could happen is you've lost your job and all these creditors, these people are calling you up. That's going to put a lot of pressure on you. You're going to feel worse than what really happened. So you're going to turn this around. You're going to get pen and paper. You're going to look at all of your outgoings, what's meant to be going out, what you're supposed to be paying off, what you can't pay off right now, what you can do, and you phone up your creditors instead. You chase them. Don't wait for them to chase you. And you explain to them, this is your situation. I need this amount of period of time to get back on top. You will feel so much better about it. It clears your mind and it gives you that space to work things out. And talking about work things out, my next step is this. Set job goals. Set job goals. So you need to, again, get a pen and pad, work out the time span you've got between this. Now, let me make it simpler instead. Let's just imagine that we are in now January. Now, January, let's say you've done 2 weeks. That is half a month. Another 2 weeks on top of that, that is a whole month. Another 2 weeks on top of that, that works out to be a month and a half. Another 2 weeks on top of that. Well, there we go. We got 2 months of the year gone already. So if we broke that down and return back to the beginning and say, you work out how many interviews you're supposed to go to within a week, right? So it might be 2, it might be 3 when you start out, and then let's say the other week, the same again. And if you do this repetitiously, you are going to start hitting those targets and those goals. You're being proactive. You set plans into getting yourself back into work. That might be sending out CVs. Let me say this as well. Don't send out blanket CVs. Get to know each company. Do the research. You've got the time now. You can do it. So plan your goals in how you're going to job search, what you're going to do, and in what time you're going to make this work. Here's my next step. Investing in you. So now you've planned these goals. You need to invest in you. When I say invest in you, it could be doing a course. It could be, let's say, brushing up on your skills, and even physically as well. To get up each morning and just do a power walk and go somewhere, come back, it keeps the mind fresh. It keeps you focused on what you're meant to do. So you need to look after yourself, study, let's say, discover what your real talents are, your skills, what you could be better in the work that you actually do already. You need to invest in you, okay? So let's go on to step 5 here. So now you've been working on you, you need to know your worth. And when I say your worth, we are talking about in the job market. What is your worth now? You've got all these skills, you've invested in you. What is your worth now? And not only that, give your own self-esteem, because you're going to feel much better about yourself, and you know that you can go out there and sell you. So you need to be telling others. So our next step, let others know. So you've got to get out there and tell others about who you are, your worth, what you're about, what you've got to sell, what you've got to give to their company as well. Now, when I say who you are, I'm not just talking about by name. I'm talking about what you've got inside of you that you can actually trade for that time. Get out there and tell others. Get out there. Now, how are you going to get out there? Networking, just as it says on the slide. Networking, going to events, find out where they are. Sometimes to actually clench that job that you want, it's not always straightforward as just your CV and all that. It's good to get to know people, tell people what you're looking for. That could be friends, family, outside that, going to networking events and make things happen. Okay, next slide. Now, this is a fun, and you've got to remember this. This will keep your mind balanced. This situation is temporary. This situation is not as bad as you might think it is. So if you keep this in mind and remember this period that you're going through is temporary. So let's stay focused and get back into work, value yourself, get that job that you need. It's a temporary situation. Look above it, vision ahead, know where you want to be. So those are my points for handling job loss today. Coach Chris Brown on the Chrissy B Show. Have a good one.
Thank you very much to Coach Chris Brown. So it's important to keep up with our fitness to keep us physically and mentally healthy so that we are more able to deal with whatever life throws at us. So with that in mind, here is our workout of the week with Natalia Katowska.
Hey guys, it's me, your fitness expert Natalia Katowska and Keto with Nat. And today I have for you lower body circuit. I always choose some intense exercises so you can really feel it. First one, you're gonna go across with your feet all the way down. Keep your chest wide open, back straight. You go as low as you can with that back knee. Kick it all the way high up, as high as you can. Squeeze your bum on top as hard as you can. And change sides, all the way up, down. Your hands, you can do that with them whatever you want. Just make sure your chest is wide open and shoulder blades are together. You can have them across here or just keep them somewhere close to your body. Go down, high up, change, down, high up. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to breathe all the time. That's your first one. Second one, you're gonna go for those air squat with the jump and you're gonna tap your feet in the air. So pay attention. All the way down, tap. All the way down, tap your feet. All the way down, tap. Make sure you sit as low as you can on your heels. So you should be in a nice position like you're sitting on the chair. Try to push that bum as far as you can. One more time. And keep breathing all the time. So that's your second one, guys. In between, shake it off because you're gonna feel tired. And the very last one, you're gonna go split jumping lunges. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and hop, hop, come back in. 1, 2, open, wide open, come back in. One more time. Front. Your front knee does not cross your toe line. Back knee as close to the floor. Switch. Go as low as you can. Come back in. Woo! It's quite hard, even for me. So shake it off, and again, repeat that. 20 seconds long, 10 seconds break, 3 rounds, 3 exercises. Trust me, you're gonna feel it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with us, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much to Natalia. So after the break, we'll go to Hannah Richards' kitchen with a secret ingredient, Goldilocks porridge, and nutritionist Laura Southern will be answering your questions, including this one. Is there a way to naturally sweeten desserts without using sugar or sweeteners? I have tried using sweeteners, but I really don't like the aftertaste, and I don't want to use sugar. See what she has to say after this. Welcome back to our program, everybody. So now it's time to go to Hannah Richards' kitchen for a secret ingredient, Goldilocks porridge.
Hello and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. My name's Hannah Richards, and today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favourite all-time breakfasts. It's called Goldilocks porridge, and I call it Goldilocks porridge because I add a very secret ingredient. You may have heard of turmeric. It's an anti-inflammatory supplement, but it must be taken when you're eating fat or eating food, as it gets absorbed in the body a lot better. This is a very high dosage turmeric with curcuminoids in it, so make sure your dosage is quite high. This one's got black pepper in it as well, about 20 milligrams, and again, that really helps the absorption. So I'm going to take you through the ingredients that you need. We're going to get the pan on and take it one by one so you can follow. Okay, so first of all, you're going to take your oats. I've got some oats here in this pot. I'm just going to pour them in. And then I'm going to add in some almond milk. So I'm going to use almond milk. You could use coconut milk. You could use cow's milk, soy milk, any milk you like. It's really up to you. And just give them a stir. Generally, the rule of thumb for measurements when making porridge is that if you use 1 cup of oats, you need 2 more cups of liquid. So whether that's water or milk or a combination of both. So this is quite a high fat protein porridge. So if you're doing a keto diet, for example, it would probably work for you. This is a can of coconut milk, and I like to use coconut milk because it's got some really good meat and fat in it. And so I'm just going to pour some of that into the porridge to add up to the liquid. I don't want all of the meat in there, so I'm just going to drain it off like that. And again, give it a nice stir round. Always keep your porridge on quite a low heat because it can start bubbling away quite quickly, and you want to make sure you're mixing in all the ingredients nice and equally. So now we're going to add the Goldilocks bit, and this is where the golden turmeric comes in. So do be careful when you're filtering out your little supplements because turmeric is very good at staining hands. So just very gently ease apart the capsule and slowly pour in. And this gives the porridge such a vibrant colour, and it's really important that our food is colourful. It makes it more exciting, it brings lots of flavours to the dish, and with lots of different ingredients we get lots of different vitamins and minerals. And the more vitamins and minerals, the more food ingredients we use, the more we feed our microbiome with good bacteria. So I'm pouring 2 in because I'm going to make 2 portions of porridge. And you'll very soon see, as soon as you start to stir this, how orange that porridge starts to get. So the porridge now is starting to get a little thick, which is great. It's The oats have started to absorb the liquid, which is what happens with grains. They're great absorbers. And the last thing I'm going to do is sprinkle in some chopped almonds. You could use any type of nut, but I've got some almonds here. So just a handful, a pinch even. And again, you could put them on the top for a bit of decoration if you were impressing someone at breakfast. So that's pretty much done. I'm going to turn the heat off and pour into my teacups. And the last little bit I'm going to do, just to give this dish a little bit of sweetness, is add some maple syrup. Some might frown their noses, but you'll be thanking me when you try it. There we go. And it immediately just soaks right into the porridge, and you'll be tasting that maple syrup, the turmeric in every single mouthful. Enjoy.
Thank you very much to Hannah there. So now it's time to talk to one of our other nutritionists, the lovely Laura Southern, and she's going to be answering your questions. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Hi, nice to see you.
So we have our first question. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So this person's asking, is there a way to naturally sweeten desserts without using sugar or sweeteners? I've tried using sweeteners, but I really don't like the aftertaste, and I don't want to use sugar. Any options there for this person?
So the simple answer is no. Okay. I mean, if you're having a dessert, you're kind of wanting it to be sweet. Yeah. And the best thing for our body, if you're not diabetic or insulin resistant, actually is sugar, which is a bit controversial. Yeah. So I always advise that actually it's much better to have a dessert with a bit of sugar in it, maybe as a treat once a week, or you know, whenever that fits into your life. Acknowledge that you're having your dessert, enjoy your dessert, relax around your dessert, but the rest of the time, actually try and kind of get them out of your diet, because you know, we have a process in our body to deal with sugar, but sweeteners, it's chemical, kind of all the trendy sugar alternatives like agave, honey, maple syrup, all are actually quite a lot more detrimental to our health than sugar. Oh wow. Yeah, so you know, people are always kind of saying, oh, sweeten everything with dates, sweeten everything with honey and maple syrup, it's all natural, and actually it's kind of rubbish. It's much more it's harder for our body to break it down. It all gets broken down in the liver.
Just ask a quick question about stevia actually, because they say it's like a natural sweetener, but is that also not so great?
Yeah, so with stevia, they have found that it doesn't give you an insulin rise like some of the more chemical sweeteners do. Okay. So that is beneficial. However, what it's doing is, if you've ever tasted it, it's kind of 100 times sweeter than sugar. And what that's doing is sending a message to your tongue that something is really, really sweet, which sends a message to your brain. And with that kind of conditioning of always having something quite sweet, nothing is ever quite as sweet again. So if you were to have stevia sweetened cake, you'd eat it, and then you'd eat an apple afterwards, and that apple doesn't taste very exciting. Whereas if you weren't having any of the sweeteners in your diet, even the kind of good ones like stevia, and you eat the apple, it's like, oh, this is sweet and delicious. So you're conditioning your taste buds to always want more sweet, more sweet, more sweet.
Which is not good.
Which is not good. So unfortunately, I mean, it's such a battle with sugar and sugar alternatives, but ultimately it's trying to get them out as much as possible and have them for those special occasions and enjoy them when we do, but training our mouths to not want anything as sweet.
Okay, wonderful. Well, not so wonderful, but yeah, I get what you mean.
It's depressing, I know,
all right.
I know.
Okay, next question, Laura. When is the best time of the day to eat fruit?
Okay, well, this is an interesting question because it kind of depends for different people. So fruit can, you know, gives us loads of nutrition. It can be kind of a great thing to eat. And often people put it in breakfast, which, you know, gives us lots of nutrients. But it just depends really on the makeup of the rest of our diet, what kind of fruit we're eating. So the more tropical fruit is very, very high in sugar compared to UK orchard fruits like apples and plums and berries, which are lower in sugar and kind of perhaps confer more health benefits. Generally, there's a school of thought that you shouldn't have fruit kind of straight after a meal. It should be eaten in isolation. And that's a digestive thing because fruit ferments.
I've heard that as well.
Fruit ferments more quickly than say protein and meat. So if you were eating it straight after a meal, as we often do, because we're wanting something sweet afterwards and not wanting sugar.
Back to the sugar again.
You kind of stick fruit down you, and then it's kind of not doing your digestion that good.
Yeah.
And then if you've got blood sugar issues or insulin resistance or diabetes or trying to watch your weight, actually, again, having lots of fruit in your diet will give you quite a lot of sugar. So although there's a lot of health benefits to it, then you just need to be mindful of portion size and kind of what you're eating it with. So generally, probably early in the day is generally better, but it does depend on the makeup of the rest of your meal.
Okay.
So the rest of your
day.
your day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a wishy-washy answer because there's no real right or wrong answer.
It makes sense though what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why we have you on this show.
Exactly.
Laura,
Gonna
thank
solve those
you
myths.
so much.
You're really welcome.
And we'll see you again very soon.
Definitely. Thank you.
So now it's time for my final thought of the day. Thank you very much to all of my guests on today's program, and it was really lovely hearing the story of Sergiu earlier, even though what he went through was terrible. But as we always do on this program, we like to actually highlight these stories, these difficult stories, but to show you that no matter what your past, no matter what you've been through, no matter what comes, that everything can still turn around, even if it seems impossible, even if it seems like you're a lost case or your situation is impossible, there is always, always hope. So we have reached the end of today's program, everyone, but if you have a story that you would like to share, please do email us because we'd love to hear from you. The email address is info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also contact us on social media. We have Twitter and Instagram, which is @ChrissyBShow, and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And also, don't forget to visit our website for more information, which is chrissybshow.tv. And if you'd like more information about me and my mental health journey, you can visit my website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time, bye-bye for now.